doing my own intros, and since I don't quite know how to do the editing that I would require to do an MGM style opening, I'll be doing my own voice acting. Okay, so today was quite a day because I had a class on grief and coping, or coping with grief, this morning. And then talking about emotional intelligence, I will once again be putting the link to this book, half off, in the description, and working through that. And one of the things that I really need to learn is that there are no good or bad emotions, just as there are no good or bad foods. I know. A lot of people are told, oh, having a brownie, having a cookie, having some chips, that's naughty, that's bad. But they're not inherently bad. You could even technically call them amoral. The A meaning without. There is no morality involved. They don't feel, they don't think, they don't decide to be good or bad. They just are. Just like a statue could technically be amoral. It's neither good nor bad, it's just there. Food can't decide to be good or bad, it just is. And even the bad things can be nourishment, depending on, but it's up to you to decide, not to, say, eat the chicken nugget meal all the time, not to have fries every day. And that's okay. And it's okay if you do, but that's you deciding. So one of the things we talked about is triggers, good and bad. Because remember, emotions are there to help you. Feelings are there to help you. And I spent years where negative emotions were considered bad by some people that I love very, very much. I'm not going to name those people because rude, but let's just call them allegedly and in my opinion. Meet my friend, allegedly. They're a big jerk. And allegedly was always like, oh, well, crying means that you're not strong. You need to be a good little soldier. So every time I did, and there were times where I would have more reason, grief or sadness or pain, I would be thinking, oh, by the way, now I'm a terrible human being. So I'm learning that allegedly, in my opinion, this person is a big jerk, allegedly, in my opinion, even though I love them. But sometimes you have to do your own thing and you need to love them from afar, allegedly, in my opinion. Okay, so good things like a song that you love that reminds you of something happy or someone that was good and happy that isn't here anymore. The people who love you for you. Nature. I love the trees. I love to go hiking. Recently I went here. This is a cave. It's actually man-made and it's only about 100 years old. It was made for industrial things like a factory to make fire hydrants that burnt down. Yeah. Irony. Here's a whole story about love and hate and bad reputations behind that factory. There are things like that, but it was a lot of fun. It was most of these pictures were taken 40 feet below ground, and walking in a puddle. Yeah. My sneakers will never look the same. And because there was a lot of limestone and some sulfur dripping down, they might smell a bit fuggy for a long time. And that's besides my feet. So anyway, things that I loved walking through here and experiencing the way that man-made objects get taken over by nature. Because they do. There's tree limbs, there's things that come in. We actually walked kind of into a tree root that was just hanging there, not in a painful way. So nature and things that really get you moving around. And as you'll notice, I finally replaced the band on my Fitbit because my watch band broke. It was a whole thing. So I'm able to I like to be able to record what I'm doing and stuff like that. That helps me with my emotions, moving around, exercise, music. I have an entire list of music just for finding my way that I started making back in February. And then, of course, your bad emotions. Not all of them can always be said to everyone. I've developed misophonia. And people talk about this. People who make a lot of chewing noises. I'm sorry to anyone else who may have a problem. Also for the things that my face just did. But anyway, chewing noises as amplified through my hearing aid, and to people who do not wear hearing aids still having to deal with that and just the noise, food noises people make, sometimes accidentally. And I met a lady recently who apparently has a habit of chewing in imaginary bubblegum a lot. So how do I react to that? Now here is where your choices come in. Well, if you can't avoid it and you want to, sit back and just enjoy, you can turn things down. You can say, excuse me, and walk away, but you also don't want them to think, oh, I'm a terrible human being. But you just you can't quite manage the imaginary bubblegum. People who hurt other people or push them around or actually mock them and then act like, what, I was just kidding. That couldn't have hurt so bad. Because I remember someone who once shoved me and was like, that didn't hurt. You obviously, that couldn't possibly have hurt that badly. And so on and so forth. People like that are on my list, and it's walk away and learn not. One of the bad reactions I've had to the world is to duck my head and apologize, which means I think I once apologized to someone because their coffee was cold, even though I was not responsible for their coffee, nor was I responsible for heating it. Ugh. Annoying. And nightmares, which can sometimes develop. And good reactions is a smile or feeling comfortable. Happy noises. Yay. Making your happy noises. So, yeah. Major trigger events, things like that. And thinking of good things like, I'm sad now. I won't always be sad, but I'm sad now. And what can I do? Like, how can I... Well, I mean, think of music. Think of where you are now and who's driving whom. When we got the example, okay, so you're in a car or on a bus. Okay, so you're doing the driving. You're responsible. You're driving everyone. And grief is on the bus, just they've become a person. It's now not just a feeling, but it's a person. And where is he? And I joked earlier, well, maybe I'd put him over by the bathrooms. I don't know why it's a him. We're just going to run with it. It can be a her, it can be neuter. So grief is neuter. And grief can be on the roof, doing roofy things. Grief can be in the baggage claim, or in the luggage rack, or in the back seat, wherever, kind of neatly tucked away. Like he's a diamond necklace in one of those trays at the jeweler, and in its own little dent that's been carved out for it in the black velvet box. Ooh, pretty. So anyway, so you're in control, and yeah, you're gonna have to deal with grief. Think of grief here as a naughty puppy. You're gonna have to deal with it and clean up the mess. But first things first, how do you go about this? And so on and so forth. So I'm still learning, but I'm getting there, and people are coming to me for help, and it's like, I gotta handle my stuff. But you're in charge. This vehicle is you. You're doing the driving. Honk, honk, mother trucker, honk, honk. And sometimes you might end up having to sit in grief's lap and deal with all the stuff. And that sounds so wrong now that I think about it, because it brings up some stuff to me that wasn't good. In fact, some stuff happened this year, back in February and March, which I do not, I've got to deal with because it's rough and it just compounds everything else. But if you are like me and you play grief whack-a-mole, get down there. It's gonna pile up, and then you have to deal that much harder and that much longer, and yeah. So yeah, so kind of think about that. I will, if I find anything else, but you are the driver of your own destiny. Make a really good travel playlist. Bye-bye. Love you.